meeting tonight on committee structure. Everyone please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Joe, I'm going to let you conduct the meeting.
Sure. As we discussed at the previous meeting, in order for Trustee Mile and Trustee Lyndhurst to participate, for now, I think we just start an administrative committee with everyone on it. And that's what this resolution does. So I move for its consideration.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any
Who was the
discussion?
second? So this is just to be able to participate in the meeting tonight?
This passes, and then we have on the agenda for discussion of committees.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, Pat, would you take the vote, please?
Trustee Clayton?
Yes.
Kimsey?
Yes.
Boyle?
Yes.
Lyndhurst?
Yes.
Mel? Is absent. And Schlarman?
Yes.
Okay, Joe, you have a guest?
Yeah, no, we got it.
Oh,
Now we, in the meeting.
can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, special meeting adjourned.
Okay, now before we go on, and before I take off, I want to say a couple things. First of all, I want to thank Pat for filling in for me. Paul and I had planned this trip to Yosemite National Forest several months ago, so her daughter and their family could attend a wedding at the Wahani Hotel. It's a fabulous place in Yosemite National Park. And my deputy clerk, Carl Toad, had volunteered to sit in for me, but at the last minute he had a change in work assignments, and so then Pat McCarthy volunteered, so I appreciate Pat sitting in for us. I tell you, if you've never been to Yosemite National Park, you really need to go. It's a fabulous place, and the pictures don't do it any justice. Unfortunately, it can be a dangerous place, as any of you might have heard over the weekend. Congratulations to everybody that was elected April 7th. I haven't seen anybody since then. The 7th I was in Okinawa, and the 12th I was at Yosemite. But it was a very competitive election as they go, and I've been through many of them, but I congratulate everyone who got elected. And I appreciate the service of Trustee Holden and Trustee Vermeer. I think they were good trustees. Something I'm going to start doing, I've been thinking about it for a while. It's not a big deal, but I think I'm going to pre-assign ordinance and resolution numbers. They'll be on the agenda. They don't have to be done in sequence. They're just numbers that we use to assign to these documents and to indicate what year they were approved and to give us some idea of the sequence of events. But I think that way when you look at your agendas, you'll see your numbers. And if you don't have any objections on them, that's what I want to try to do. And lastly, I am going to put an ad in the Clarion for a deputy clerk. Paula is volunteered to stay with me until I find someone or two. Carl Tote was with me for 11 years. Paula's been with me since Carl retired, but things are going on with her business and her life that it may be the time to find another person or two. Like I said, she is not resigning or quitting on me. It was my idea, and but she's offered to stay on until I find a replacement or two. And Paula was, I tell you what, before I had Carl, like I said, for 11 years, I had two clerks just like that. One didn't even make the first meeting. The second one went to one meeting and then said, I didn't think there was so much work involved, and then I was stuck. And so Carl Tote was my clerk after Pat McCarthy recommended him, as a matter of fact. And then when Carl decided to separate or retire, I said something to Paula about it. For those who don't know, Paula and I have been close personal friends for many years. She said, I'll do it. And knowing Paula, her professional background and her education, she's like 2 or 3 degrees, I didn't even hesitate and said, yeah. So she was been my good deputy clerk for 20 years. Matter of fact, it was Carl Tilt that recommended Pat McCarthy, so the pendulum swung the other way when it came around that Carl decided he couldn't be here on the 12th. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say, but I wanted to get that out. Congratulations on all you guys, and Good luck to the new board. Village government is not always easy, as we all know, but I sincerely believe that everybody is here for the right reasons, and everybody honestly does the best job they can do, as honestly as they can do, and good luck to everybody. So, see you in a week, so.
Okay, seeing that it's 6 o'clock, the admin committee will begin, as we always do. We'll begin with any public comments. Seeing none, we're going to move. One of the things that we always should have been doing, but we never have, so I'm going to recommend that we do this from now on, is whenever there's minutes, whether it's for a regular board meeting or a committee meeting, those minutes should have been approved all along. So, as you can see, I have minutes to the last administrative committee meeting, so I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Second the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Moving on,
Joe, while we're on the topic of minutes, I know at one point there was some discussion before our attorney John Myers had left. He was working with trustee Clayton on the duties of the clerk, to
Yes.
help clarify some of that. And I know trustee Clayton had went to some length with him to draft an ordinance. I think you have a copy of the ordinance. He handed it to me. Have they seen this at some point?
I believe that the ordinance from John,
Yeah. Was that sent out to all of us?
yeah, I believe so.
So to revisit the topic, one of the things that we had discussed in regards to meeting minutes, and since our clerk and deputy clerks don't attend or had not attended committee meetings at a time as trustee Clayton had taken upon himself with the village attorney and had discussed it and sent out the proceeding, making it by ordinance to where the village clerk or a deputy clerk shall attend all committee meetings and shall keep a record of those proceedings. And I think that, most boards and city councils, the clerk is present at those when they meet committee of a whole, and we're going, to more of, I guess, what you want to call a formal committee of the whole, even though all of us are present during our committee meetings. And I would like to see this ordinance move forward, as drafted.
in the ordinance that I handed out regarding the committees of the whole, there's a section in there regarding the duties of the clerk. And that's exactly what it does.
Okay.
And do we need to have a separate ordinance for the duties, outlining the duties?
I would advise of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we revisit this and then, I know it's mentioned in here, but at least we should have some ordinance outlining the duties.
Well, yeah, that's what the under procedures, what I did was I took the language from that ordinance that Ken is referencing and placed that language in there.
Right, and I guess my question is, do we need to have a ordinance stating the duties overall of the clerk and deputy clerk? This just pertains to the committee of the whole.
We may, in insulating ourselves, we may want to go to the length of doing, I know the municipal code lays out a lot of the duties of the clerk, as it does our village manager, and I'm, pretty sure, by ordinance, we can lay out further to help clarify those things if need be.
The language, though, is I think pretty clear. If you want to change it, the village clerk or a deputy clerk shall attend all committee meetings and shall keep a record of all proceedings. The village clerk or the deputy clerk shall prepare the minutes of each committee. So no matter how many committees we have, whether it's just a committee of the whole or we have 4 committees, it is the duty then after, if this is passed, for the clerk or village clerk to perform those duties and keep those minutes.
Yeah, and I understand it's in here, but
Yeah.
so we don't get in a situation where, does this particular instance fall under the clerk? You know what I'm saying, have an ordinance outlining the duties as it states in the...
Oh, if there's other things, you mean?
As it states in the municipal code, or as it states in the municipal code. any other duties assigned by the corporate authorities. So just a clarification on the ordinance is exactly what the duties are. Just prevent a situation as we got into here.
Sure. If there needs to be additional language added.
I think Mark's saying, does there
Yeah.
need to be a village?
Specific for village clerk duties?
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
Can the board set the duties of the elected official is a different question.
That has always been a great question for municipal attorneys. And,
Well, I think too, we make it consistent with the Illinois Municipal Code.
yeah, the problem is with the Illinois Municipal Code is pretty vague on what exact duties there are. And so that makes it difficult, but I know there's been many discussions at municipal clerk institutes where they've discussed that same thing, and depending on which attorney you ask, you may get different answers.
I guess the question is, as John said before, can you add duties? But maybe there won't be an issue with it.
Well, that's something you can ask if
Yeah.
you're gonna address a
Right.
possibly aware.
Yeah.
I'd just like to revisit it and.
No, I agree, that's fine. Okay, moving on for a moment, under new business, I have village manager search, and I've invited Steve Carter.
Let John go first. Dave has to be out to the meeting.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Steve, you're gonna go second, if that's okay. Good. Actually, there's something regarding the police department, so since it's kind of under public safety, Ken, you wanna?
John, go ahead.
What I've got is we've got a couple of programs that are coming up here pretty quick. One is the bicycle safety rodeo. And I've got our dispatcher, Lisa Mercedes, is going to talk about it. The reason I have to talk about it, she put all the work into it, and she's going to kind of give you an idea of what's going to be there. Obviously, we're trying to promote safety and bicycle safety with the children, but she's kind of grown this thing to be a big program. And then second, I'm going to have Officer Leaslaw. He came to me a few months ago with an idea of another safety program for kids, and I'll let him kind of explain that, so you guys have an idea of some things that we're doing this summer as far as road safety and public safety. So, Alicia.
I'm not sure when they started their bicycle rodeo, but I started helping with it last year. And I'm going to give you guys each one to take. But last year, myself and Officer Leach and Officer Galloway started it on our own, and it was a huge success. We had it at the library. We had about 200 people there, 120 kids participated. We had quite a bit of stuff, but we decided we were going to do it every 2 years. We had the Kiwanis help us, and this year we started getting phone calls. We had some messages on Facebook asking if we thought we could do it again this summer. Because of the outcry from everybody, we decided to try it, even though it's an every 2-year program. So we kind of threw it together last minute. We've had the last month to work on it, but everyone's on board with it. St. John's helicopter team is going to fly in, so they'll do a demonstration for the kids. There's going to be Walmart and House of Bouncers both donated bicycles, so we're going to have a drawing to give away 2 bicycles. The St. Louis Cardinals gave us tickets for a game, so we'll be raffling off tickets for the game. Shields donated 56 helmets, so any kid that can't afford to have a helmet or just doesn't have one, they'll be there to fit them and put it on them. And then Wheel Fast is going to set up a table to check everyone's tires, their equipment, hand out water bottles. We're going to have face painting. The fire department's going to put up their smokehouse. And then Officer Leach and Officer Galloway are going to set up the safety course. And the kids will go through the bicycle course with one of them. Then, what else? Pizza. All the businesses, we really got involved. Some of the Springfield ones, Papa John's, Walmart, Monocle's, they all wanted to join in. So what we did this last year, I think we had 10 pizzas, cut them up, we had lunch with officers. So each kid that participated, you got a certificate signed by Chief Holm, and then you got a slice of pizza, and McDonald's provided the drinks, and they're gonna do that again this year. So, then we'll have other small prizes like Strike and Spares donated game, free games of bowling, Glow in the Dark did golf, Knights Action Park did passes, and Bob Evans is going to give free kids meal to the first 200 kids that participate in the safety course with officers. So it should be a huge event. We've hit flyers up everywhere, did our Facebook. But yeah, we're hoping for a big crowd. It's May the 30th from 11:30 to 11:30 to 1:30.
I have a question. I know the ABC Club does a big M Trikes thing and gives away a lot of bikes to kids that can't, ride a bike like other kids can. And I know it's too late probably for this year, but maybe next year look at that and see if they would want to donate a couple of their bikes and, for those kids that may not be able to ride a
And
bike.
what group is that? Sorry.
It's the ABC Club of the American Business Club.
Okay, yeah, I will
And
check
see if
into
they'd
that.
have some interest in it also.
Okay, yep, we're definitely always looking for new ideas, so hopefully it'll be a big event. Okay. Oh, sorry.
United Cerebral Palsy has several of those bikes.
Okay.
They may be interested in participating
helping
as
too.
well.
Okay.
Having some people out there, you might try to
I will contact them too, yes. Anyone, and you guys can always call the police department and give us ideas. We're more than willing to talk and listen.
What time did you say it was?
It's 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at the library parking lot, and then their yard will all be open to us.
Thank you.
So, okay.
I'll try to be quick here. We're really hoping for a good turnout with our bike rodeo. There's a lot of cool stuff. I don't know if you guys heard Dacia, we have a lot of stuff lined up for them. Spider-Man and the helicopter coming to the smokehouse. I wish,
I forgot Spider-Man. Spider-Man
there's
and
a lot.
Iron Man are both.
You guys know any kids that are that age would like that stuff very much and want to live in time at. So I will be quick here. This year we decided that we would start what's called our child safety program. I think this is going to go really well in our town. The gist of this program, this is going to be very simple. When officers are out on patrol, if we see kids exercising any type of safety, be it a kid wearing a bike helmet, stopping at a stop sign, looking both ways before it goes out in the street to get a ball, holding his little brother or little sister's hand crossing the road, we're looking for ways to get involved, have positive interactions with kids and families. If we see something like that, we have vouchers, and I brought 2 of them for you guys to look at here. They got our logo on it, a little message on it for them. We're going to give this little kid a voucher and tell him, good job for doing whatever you're doing. Continue that as a reward. We've got McDonald's on board, Ice Deli on board, Hardee's on board. They'll get their pick of a small ice cream cone, Ice Deli, a small thing from Ice Deli, or Hardee's is donating small kids meals. So they'll have their pick. They can come in, redeem this. We think that this is going to go really well. So we want kids to feel comfortable coming to us if they're in an emergency, if they're lost. Police are intimidating. I mean, be it the uniform, the squad car. I can't tell you guys how many times I'll be driving on patrol, I'll see kids, and they'll just kind of be looking like, oh, if I can wave, and just smile and wave, and it's just an instant icebreaker. And then they're waving as you're going by, saying hi. So we think that this will go really well, so we're really excited about it. So.
Yeah, the key to this is we're giving them a voucher for their parents to bring up with them.
Yes.
And the parents will have to help them figure out what they want, because we just didn't want to give them free ice cream or.
Right.
Yeah, we didn't know
about
allergies.
things like that, so. But that also gives us an interaction with the parents as well. So. And he came to me with this on his own, and he's done all the work on it, Dacia's helped him, and, I'm finding that our officers, when they come to you with something in their program, they really take pride in it, and it's a great thing. So.
Okay, thank you. Now, going back to, I've invited Steve Carter. He's the former administrator, or manager of Champaign. He's here on behalf of the Illinois City Managers Association to talk to us about searching for a village manager. So Steve, I'll let you take it from here.
Good, thanks, Joe. I'll have some cards, I'll pass those around for you. I have a little bit over 40 years of experience in local government, 28 years in Champaign. I retired after 28 years there, so it's kind of a long time for a port manager to be in one town, but Champaign provided such a great community, University of Illinois, there and a very active community, but we very seldom had this many people at a council meeting, I have to say. So it shows great interest on the part of the folks in your community, and I have to thank board members because it's a lot of responsibility, and everyone's so busy in their personal lives anymore, to get people to take time to volunteer their service to their community like you have. And sometimes you run into controversial issues, and those are always difficult to deal with. So just thanks to you for providing service to your community. Love local government. Love every year that I had there are controversial issues, and times they're tougher and times that are more fun. But as a career, it's just been terrific. The Illinois City Management Association has a program in conjunction with the International City Management Association where old retired people have an opportunity to continue to serve their profession, and we do it on a volunteer basis. And so we help managers who have issues or questions on their own. We help managers who are in transition. This is one of those professions where occasionally people are asked to move on, particularly after elections. So we had an election recently in Illinois, and there'll be a few managers around the state that will be asked to find another position. So we're there to help them, and also help city councils and boards going through the process of selecting a new manager when a manager leaves or a manager retires. Again, our role, we're not really consultants, so we can't really be a consultant and do our job. We're more advisors. But I've worked with a few city councils so far. I've done this 3 times since I retired just a couple of years ago. 4 times actually, and most recently the city of Washington, Illinois, the city of Decatur. Both of those communities, and then Mahomet and Rantoul in the Champaign area. And the hiring of a new manager or administrator may be one of the most important decisions a board or a city council has to make. Just impacts so many different things, especially the effectiveness of the board. Having a good manager there to support you and do the work that you want done in the community is really important. Maybe to start out, and I'll just hit a few high points. Maybe Joe has provided some information that I provided to him earlier. So let me hit a few high points and then just take questions. As a manager, I don't believe in really long presentations because my elected officials never have the patience to last more than about 10 or 15 minutes. The environment right now, in terms of looking for a new manager, is kind of a tough one. Part of it is we're coming out of a recession, and whenever you see that happen in city management, city business, as well as other fields, people tend to stay put. And so managers have tended to stay where they are and not really look around for another position. Bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, and so it's kind of slow from that standpoint. Also, we have an election coming up. I just had an election, so we may have some positions moving. But board members have tended to look more closely to where they are as they've been looking. You see a lot of assistants hired around the state. You see boards looking at kind of the immediate vicinity around them, thinking that maybe finding someone who's familiar with their town or their city. In Illinois, you see a big difference between folks who are in the metro area and then folks who are downstate. And so we have a lot of cities with good professional people. A lot of those are up in the metro area, the suburbs around Chicago. Those folks tend not to look so much downstate. They tend to look for opportunities in the metro area. Those all make it a challenge. I know from the positions that have been open over the last few months, probably, you got 30 to 40 applications. That would be a really successful recruitment effort right now in Illinois. So just going into it, I want you to appreciate the fact that, things are a little slow there sometimes when, people are moving and you put an ad out and maybe have 75 or 80 applications. We're not at that point right now, I think, for those reasons. I think one of the biggest questions up front for the board to think about is, who's going to actually handle the recruitment work? There's work involved in this, and so there are different options available to you. Some organizations are large enough, their HR department, they have a large HR department, they've done a lot of recruiting, and so some organizations just do it internally. Get into city the size of Decatur, they probably had the capability, but they elected to go a different way. Sometimes the dynamics inside an organization can make a difference, just in terms of whether the board feels comfortable relying upon internal staff to do that. When I retired in Champaign, the city council asked me to help with that process, so our attorney and HR department and myself really handled that process, but they were really looking at it. They had an internal candidate, my assistant, who they were likely going to hire, assuming that everything went well during the recruitment process. So doing it inside is one approach. Using a consulting firm is another approach. There are a number of firms across the country that do executive search work, really focusing on local government. There's one firm in Illinois that does a lot of this work in Illinois and in surrounding states as well. They're located up in the Chicago area, but they do a lot of work throughout the state of Illinois. The advantage of using a search firm is they're able to tap information about people who may be ready to move but may not actually apply for a position. Again, we're at a time when a lot of managers aren't throwing out a lot of resumes because they're happy where they are and not willing to run the risk of applying and the complications that causes. But the search firm, through their contacts, familiarity with the folks in the area, know folks who have been in a location for a certain time, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and so they'll pull people into the process that otherwise you probably wouldn't see. So one advantage is, their access to people who may be really good for your community, but who may not apply in a cold application. The other advantage of the search firm is in the last part of the process where you're really doing reference checking. And again, most of the firms have contacts throughout the profession that they can not only contact the list of people that everybody has, your reference list, because those are all going to be positive, otherwise you would put them in your resume. But they have a lot of other contacts, and so they're able to do a really good job of doing the reference checking. And there are other ways of doing that too, but that's one of the advantages they have. And from my experience in hiring over the years, the best predictor of success in a job is their success in their prior jobs. You'll find people who have been successful in every position, the likelihood is they're going to be very successful in your position as well. So those are really the two main options, and then you can do kind of a combination of those as well. And I know as I've done recruiting over the years, sometimes there are certain positions that you may have a hard time getting applicants for. And so you may use a search firm to help find the applicants for your position. And then other times you may want to hire a search firm to actually do the reference checking. It's a very time-consuming activity, and it's awkward sometimes to have internal employees do reference checking too, just from the dynamics inside an organization. To have one of your subordinates doing the reference checking on you in the hiring process is kind of an awkward situation. So you can go through a process where you do some of it inside and you use a search firm or a consultant to do other parts of that process. The key, to me, the most important thing in getting started is what are you looking for? And, you know, being for the board to be able to agree upon this is the type of person we're looking for. And normally that's done by developing a position profile. And profile is partly a recruitment tool too, because you talk about the community and what a great community you have, what a great school system you have, and you know all the things that are great about your community: access to education, higher education, recreation, all about the organization. But it's also what are you looking for specifically? What are the things that in the next 3 to 5 years you expect the city's going to have to deal with? And if you can find someone, you know, that has experience in some of those areas, you know, it gives them a little bit of a head start. So if you could identify, okay, what are the things that our village is going to face over the next 3 to 5 years that are, you know, some of the larger items. Maybe it's infrastructure, you know, maybe it's you know, whatever it may be, maybe, you know, police or whatever you see the major challenges to be. Then education, of course, is important, what you look for in education, and I would say in our profession right now, master's degree is pretty much a standard thing that you see just about everybody has. Not everybody, but a master's degree in public administration, business administration, or some related field. How much experience would you like this person to have? Certainly you'd like them to have some supervisory experience, but you know, how much experience would you like them to have? 5 years, 10 years? You know, being able to identify, you know, what kind of a person you're really looking for in terms of experience. What are the attributes that you'd like that person to have? Their knowledge, skills, and abilities. You know, ability to, you know, interpersonal skills, communication skills, financial skills. Take a look at the wide range of things a manager is called upon to do. Which are the ones that are most important to you that you'd really like to focus on in the next manager? And then, you know, in terms of what about relationships in the community, things like that. So you build this position profile, and that really becomes like a criteria that you use throughout the process. So send this out, hopefully people respond to that. You know, they look at this and say, boy, this is me. You know, this is the perfect job for me, and so they apply. And then you get a stack of resumes, whether it's 30 or 40 or 70 or 80. Then, well, how do you evaluate those resumes? Well, you go through and, you know, there are going to be a certain percentage of them that, you know, it's going to take about a minute for you to decide that this person really doesn't have any qualifications for this. It probably looked like a good job for them, but, you know, they're not prepared for this type of position. But you'll have a lot of folks who will be very close, and so how do you start separating out those different applications? Well, you go back to, you know, what you had in your profile, and those become kind of criteria. Well, you know, how do these candidates stack up to what we're looking against? And you kind of rate those, and you're never going to find anybody that meets all of your requirements. Probably have to be a superwoman or superman to do that, and they probably don't exist. So you go through and you sort out the applications based upon how you define the position. And then, you know, when you get to the point of, at that point, then you probably want to do some early reference checking just to make sure, well, what they have on paper is really what they are. Because sometimes people are really good about writing a resume, and it may not reflect the world that they live in very well. So you want to do some reference checking, and then you narrow it down to people you want to bring in for an interview. And when you do your interview with the folks, that you go back to that profile again, and those criteria and the questions that you ask, and you probe on the candidates, really go back to that first thing you did, which is trying to identify, you know, what it is you're looking for, and then developing questions that help answer that question for you. And then, you know, you get it down to three or five, bring them in for interview. Hopefully, then you'll have 2 or 3 that you think are possibilities. You pick your top choice. You do really detailed reference checking at that point, or you have someone do that for you. Then you get into the process of, you know, making an offer, negotiating an employment agreement, working through how they get started and helping them bring the person on board and working through their first 90 days or 6 months and what you'd like them to do. All is part of the process of bringing someone on. So that's a quick overview of the process, that we really encourage you to follow. Your attorney will tell you, there are legal things that you need to be mindful of as you do make employment decisions in the public sector, things you can ask about, things you can't ask about. I think most of you are probably aware of those, but those are things that, as you go through each step of the way, you just want to make sure that you've covered all of the things there as well. Let me just stop there and open up to questions about the process. Any questions that you may have? Included in the material sent out is going to be, as a senior advisor, how can I help you? What are the things I can't do? And as you look at the things I can't do, we're not a consulting firm, and so we can't really take business away from consultants, so we can't do a full consulting job. We can't impose our judgment on the board's judgment, because this person that you hire is going to work for you. And so it's your decision, and you want to find someone that's going to best meet the qualifications that you set for the position, and whether it's a consulting firm or a senior advisor or someone else, a staff person helping you, this is really the board's responsibility, and so you have to be the ones making that final judgment in terms of who's the best person to serve the community.
How much is the consulting firm usually estimated?
Pardon?
How much is a consulting firm estimated usually?
I would expect the cost of a consulting firm would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $15,000 to $20,000. So compared to the University of Illinois, when they recruit for a football coach or a president, it's into the six figures. But really, you can find firms that will cost a little bit more. Obviously, the per diem, the travel costs of that will vary a little bit depending upon where the search firm comes from. But for a basic fee, I think you could find someone that would do this, that do a good job in the $15,000 to $20,000 range.
You mentioned kind of a tight market of candidates. How have you seen communities balance potential candidates' need to be kind of quiet about what they're doing versus our community wanting to know who it is we're interviewing?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one of the things that, again, it depends on the community and on the board, and, what you want is really a balance between, the community may want to be involved and the public has a right to know at a certain level versus, kind of the confidentiality that the candidates prefer. So obviously if you're a candidate and you're a village manager in another village, when you apply, you'd prefer your bosses not know quite yet, until you know that you're a serious candidate and maybe one of the finalists. So there's always that challenge. Now, some states like Florida, everything is open by state law. Here, the boards have some discretion. The council that I worked for, even when we hired department heads, when we got down to the finalists, so we're bringing, let's say, 3 to 5 people in for interviews, we made all those names public. Partly, to let the public know the people that we were considering for those important positions. The other thing that it did was it made the candidates serious too. And because otherwise you get to the point where you really pick the person you want, you make a job offer, and they say, my spouse has decided that they don't want to move. And that's because they've never talked to them, up to that point. And I'm amazed that there are candidates that go all the way through a final interview and haven't talked to their family about it. And these decisions anymore are family decisions. Frequently, you have both spouses are employed and children involved, and so I always thought having the finalists made public was good for the public and good to make sure that the candidates were serious about the job, so they didn't have to actually talk to their boss or their city council and say, gee, I'm applying, just want you to know I'm applying for this job, and you may get a reference call. You have some councils that will do the public process more informally, where they'll have maybe a reception and invite the public to attend the reception, and so it's people standing around talking and drinking punch and eating cookies and doing it more informally. Other councils may do it more formally. Some councils actually do have a part of the interview process in public. They may televise it even. And something that Champaign did when I retired, they narrowed it down to one candidate, but they put that candidate through all the steps, had a public forum where people asked her questions on television. It was televised so that the community could see that. We did that the last time we hired police chiefs too. We had 3 candidates, tried to structure it so it was fair to everybody, so that we brought the candidates out one at a time, asked them the same question. Public was there to see how they responded. People who couldn't make the meeting saw it on television. It gave the public a confidence that we had 3 pretty good candidates here, and everyone had their idea about who was the best one, but the public was able to see everybody. In Decatur's case, they took the position that this was a board's responsibility. It was the biggest decision they had to make. The board was going to do it, and the public was not going to be involved, and so they really didn't have the public involved until they made the announcement of who they hired. It would be more typical, for a candidate to come in and actually have several interviews, interview with the board, of course, most important, but also maybe an interview with some of the staff, a committee of the staff. Again, that serves the purpose so that the staff has some clue in terms of the type of people that are being interviewed, and hopefully gives them confidence in the decision made by the board, and it gives the candidates an idea, well, who do I have to work with when I come here? Their biggest concern is the relationship with the board, obviously, but the next concern is, well, who do I have that's going to help me at the staff level? So having an interview panel or some relationship between the candidates and the staff is good. And then, usually tours around the community, and then maybe some opportunity for the public to meet the candidates as well. That would be more typical, I think, of what you see anywhere around the country.
When you get a position profile, do you, when we're advertising for this position, what do you think would be a good price range for a village manager? And is that something you can help us with in terms of what the price range for a village manager typically is in central Illinois for a community our size with our needs or our infrastructure?
Sure. I didn't research that specifically, but there are salary surveys done on an annual basis, and so we have pretty current information on what managers are making around the state. And you look at the Chicago area, those salaries are typically a little bit higher than the downstate salaries, and you can look by salary rate by population size and come up with a pretty good range. Most councils, when you talk about salary, think that they're going to save some money, from a person who just left, because when I left, I'd been there 28 years, and so you think, well, that person's kind of at the top of where they should be. But they ended up negotiating a salary that was almost the same as mine, just a little bit lower than mine. Salary is important because it really determines what your pool is going to be. And I'd say
is that something that you get out in when you have the ad in there?
People handle the ads differently. I think there's value to having a number in there. If a number is important to you, you need to have a number in there. If you don't care, well then, but you see a lot of ads, depending on qualifications.
Yeah.
Well, you get people who are probably, their expectations are a lot more than you want to pay, and you get people who aren't qualified, because they don't really know what your expectations are without a number there somewhere. But, and, you know, you look at the area that you're in, and I haven't looked at the Springfield labor market per se, but with a lot of government agencies and nonprofit agencies, you know, that probably is going to help set a price range for you as well.
Makes sense. Any additional questions?
So, you know, it's up to the board, you know, for you to decide how you want to proceed. Again, there are advantages to each of the different approaches, and, you know, you'd like some help from myself, you know, I'm more than happy to help you through the process as much as I can, and hopefully, regardless of what you choose, you'll come up with a really good candidate, because you really have a nice village here, very nice community, and so I think it will be attractive to candidates. So I think that's a real advantage for you. Good,
Okay,
thanks.
great.
Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, we will. Okay. Any questions regarding that? Okay, moving on. Going back to old business. Let me get where are we at?
Excuse myself, I think I'll grab a champagne and let you get over there.
Thank you, Steve. Really appreciate it. Can we get an annexation update regarding what's happening with the area near,
Out that way. The last contact we had with Mr. Rabin was he gave us notice that he had gotten all the information that Pat had sent him, and that he had gotten all the information from the homeowner association out there, and he was moving forward. Pat, have you had any other conversations with Alex?
I have not.
So we are moving forward. I think probably we need to get with Alex and have him come in and update, since we have a new board here. We need to have him come in and update the board.
yeah, I think that would be good. Because isn't when the deadlines?
Well, there really is no deadline. Their annexation agreement with that one particular is up in June. So we knew that we're not going to make that deadline, so.
Okay, so if we don't make that deadline though for,
It doesn't really affect the process, Joe, for the court-controlled annexation, as we talked about before. It's just,
okay,
Yeah, I mean, I know, I spoke to a resident that lives in that neighborhood, and I know at least from their side, he was informed me and was telling me that I believe the homeowners association has reached out to the residents and basically given them what their options are. He didn't really go into detail as to, you know, what discussions or if they were leaning one way or the other, but I know internally within the homeowners association it has been moving, and, you know, through the processes that they have too.
good. I just want to make sure we don't end up in a position where we have to get permission from every homeowner, where that would be a.
They will.
If we have to, it's worth it.
they will.
Yeah.
No, they will have to.
They have to.
They, I guess they would
Yes.
have to now.
Because you have to have 51% of the electors.
Yes.
So
Yep,
each
yep.
elector out there will be asked to sign
Okay.
in the annexation plat.
Correct. Okay. Okay.
You'll have Alex come and explain that further.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can we get Alex here next week or 2 weeks from now?
I'm sure Alex will be more than happy to come.
Okay.
Next committee meeting, right?
Yes. Okay, moving on. And we've talked about this, so the village committee meetings. As I passed out previously, this is the ordinance creating a committee of the whole and a public utilities committee. I know there wants to be some discussion about this. It also requires the clerk or deputy clerk to record the minutes and take the minutes. And it has the duties and functions of what the committee of the whole would be and what the committee of the Public Utilities Committee will be. So what I want to do is, again, I just put this together, I want this out there for discussion, see what people think, and we can go from there.
Yeah, I appreciate you putting it together, Joe. I thought though on the Public Utilities Committee, I know that you have myself, Trustee Boyle, and Trustee Mao on it. I thought it'd be imperative that all 6 of us take, or participate in the Public Utilities Committee. Even, I recommend even abandoning that to just include that discussion in Committee of the Whole.
Okay.
And one other discussion, I know we talked about rotation every 2 years, but I would say for chair, I want to nominate or recommend that Trustee Boyle serves as chair of Committee of the Whole going forward. That's my recommendation.
And I'd like to recommend that Trustee Clayton serve as vice chair.
I don't know what the title, so we don't care. Whatever you guys would like to do. Same with the spot where, some groups will do it is, because it's an organizational thing, it's just meeting facilitation, rotate it every month. If 1 month, Mark, I do it, and rotate on down the line that way, and it doesn't phase me one way or the other who's doing it.
I think it's just consistent too, even on the 2-year rotation, that's something we established as, we all got to head up a committee at one point and, kind of work it that way rather than just a random rotation. But I think this is fair in continuing the Committee of the Whole from the previous committee structure.
Okay.
Any other comment? All right.
Do you want to do it?
Yeah, I'm fine with taking on the responsibility. I think going to a true committee of the whole, and labeling that's a good thing, and, doing away with the utility committee, I think is good. I think we all need to be involved with those discussions as, we're at a paramount point with, our utilities, I think, right now, at least in the, foreseeable future, and I think everybody on the board needs to be involved with those discussions.
Okay. So we're getting rid of public utilities, and Trustee Boyle will be chair, and Trustee Clayton will be vice chair.
Do you want to set responsibilities of the chair?
Well, I think the responsibilities, are gonna be what they would be, regardless of what the committee is. We've had the committees before. The chair is gonna facilitate the committee meetings. I'm more concerned, I think, and I think the other board members are more concerned with, right now, the lack of communication, not between staff, but also with the recording of minutes and minutes being kept by our village clerk. And I think just getting a thorough record in the ordinance, which it addresses that, I think will help clean that up so that we have a clerk here to record those minutes so that we have a record to go back on. Mark, do you have an ordinance that you want to prepare for the next meeting to vote on?
Yeah, I can, actually, I have a copy of my changes here.
Okay. So you will prepare it, Mark?
Yeah, it's pretty much, it's done here. Move it on clerk's desk.
Okay, everyone's okay with that, we'll move on.
You want me to bring copies of
I think it's the same thing as this, the only thing is, yeah.
That's not changed, right?
Yeah, and just
Oh,
make the
okay.
language consistent, making it singular now instead of committees, that's about it.
Same times? Tuesday, every other Tuesday, 6. Nothing else changes.
And then, do we need to put down who's in charge of the agenda then? Then it would be the chair that would be in charge of preparing an agenda.
Yeah, sending the agenda items to the clerk to post.
Okay.
Shad's copy.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to village committee meetings. We did the village search. So the only other thing I have on here before executive session is the village manager duties.
Yeah, and I passed out a little over 2 pages, and basically what it is, and it might really aid in us developing that profile, as Mr. Carter had noted. But basically what this is it's a compilation of various villages through their ordinances. I believe state statutes even referenced in there. But it really, and some of it might be redundant, but it really outlines what a lot of communities are doing with the duties. And I tried to categorize it and clean it up a little bit. It's a pretty rough draft, but going to get us an understanding of comparable communities, how their ordinance of their village manager is.
Yeah, and, I mean, well, from the last time we met, I mean, I looked into the municipal code and the statute that deals with the village clerk. The statute itself, lays out a lot of the general duties of the village, of the village manager. The statute itself lays out a lot of the general duties of the village manager. There is language in there to where municipalities can develop an ordinance basically to further define what duties they would like for the village manager to have, if they so choose. But it's, pretty much laid out, I mean, in terms of, what the responsibilities are of the manager, in the state statute. And, I'd encourage all of you to take a look at it. That's going to be helpful as we go forward too, in the selection process and even, immediately, what we should or what we can be asking of our village administrator and manager.
So do you see, are you going to put an actual ordinance together?
Well, I think this too is something to really focus
Just
on.
discuss? Or-
Yeah, but really focus on for the future village manager.
Okay.
For that ordinance 0940, there's some changes that I was going to propose for next Tuesday's meeting that make it consistent with the language of that of the statute, and also some of the things that we had previously discussed in executive session.
Okay, do you have a copy of what you're proposing?
Yes. I'll give this to you. I'll just let you know. On section B1, it says be entitled to notice of all special and regular meetings of the village board, attend board meetings of the, or meetings of the board and committees as requested. That kind of contradicts the statute, as it says it's a shall attend in the statute, minor language change there. And then we have, the status report we discussed on a quarterly basis. I have noted that I'm going to propose a change that we get this on a bi-weekly basis in conjunction with committee of the whole, being that it would probably serve us best as we make decisions that we have a report to do so. Also in section B10, negotiate with one or more vendors. We talked about the spending limits. I made some minor changes as to the requirements there, which is basically some minor language changes. And then section D, manager shall receive such compensation as the corporate authority shall fix from time to time by ordinance after performance review, but his or her compensation shall never be diminished during his or her term of office, removing but his or her compensation shall never be diminished during his or her term of office. So those are the proposed changes I will make, and I will send you a copy of the changes as well.
What was the amount under 10 that you went to?
I didn't change the amount, but requiring that, removing in his or her discretion. And now it shall be authorized but not required to, change that required to, solicit 2 or more sealed bids.
Yeah, if you could get that to us.
Yeah. How about I'll email the changes out to you tomorrow, and then we can put it on the agenda for Tuesday. Does that work?
I would like, we discussed this last time, to run that by legal counsel.
I know you said, but I mean, like I said, I've researched the statute, and it's pretty clear that we can create further duties.
I don't disagree with that.
I mean, just like there's things in there too, you know, I mean, moving forward, you know, that basically the manager may at any time be removed from office by a majority vote of the members of the council or the board. That's per state statute. So, I mean, this, like I said, the statute's pretty clear in terms of what it lays out and what it doesn't lay out. It lays out some stuff, but it also, you know, provides, you know, further duties if we want to establish them per ordinance, you know, in terms of the village administrator. I mean, obviously, some of the things that are in the current ordinance, you know, weren't part of the manager's duties that were laid out, or the village administrator's duties that are laid out by statute. So, you know, at some point, previous boards or yourself, Mr. Mayor, had added language into an ordinance to basically insulate the position, you know, so.
I never did that.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, I said previous boards or yourself. I never said you did specifically, sir.
So I think Tom's question is
My question
the
goes to
the one
reducing
hanging up is-
salaries.
I agree. I think we do need, I'd like to have legal counsel's opinion.
It's an appointment. Currently, we have an appointed village manager, and I think that might be where you would understand.
So do we want to hold off?
It doesn't matter. It defines whether or not that who can appoint the manager, who can remove the manager. It doesn't matter whether he's appointed or not. It's laid out in the municipal code. Like I said, you guys, you know, we're going to discuss this. Should have looked at the state statute, I think, ahead of time. It would have been helpful, so we could have came in here and had a productive discussion.
I think that the question is, can we reduce his salary?
That's my concern.
Yeah.
And that's where the legal counsel, I think, should
Well,
give an opinion.
his salary, or the ability of his salary set by ordinance, we know as a board that we have the ability to amend or change an ordinance whenever we want, just like we have the ability to do away with certain departments or things that we would need to as a board. I mean, we establish those, and we have the ability to take those away or to modify them. That's why we're elected.
And I'll tell you this too, in looking at all the other codes from every other community, there's nothing like this type of protection in any of them. You know, it's always set by the board for appropriation.
So then, based upon that and based upon what I'm hearing, though, I think we need to, the question is because I haven't seen exactly all the changes. I know you just said that what they are. But I think we need to probably vote on whether we want to go forward have this on next Tuesday's agenda. Because I know I'm not comfortable, because I haven't seen it, and I agree that I want to see legal counsel for that specific portion regarding the diminishment of the salary. So with that said, I think someone probably needs to make a motion to put it on the agenda, and then we need to vote on that.
I'll make the motion to put it on the agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay. And then I will take the vote.
Are we taking the motion just to amend
We're
that?
taking
and
them-
then-
Put it on the ballot for Tuesday.
Okay.
We're putting it on the agenda.
Gotcha.
So trustee Clayton,
Yes.
trustee Kimsey, trustee Boyle,
Yes.
Yes.
No.
and no. So it goes on the agenda.
Say, did the motion passed?
Yeah, motion passed. Okay, that's actually all I have here, except for executive session, to talk about personnel.
One thing, going back to the new business, and sorry to go back to it, I know we had other guests and we're out of order.
Sure.
The VFW, I was contacted by a member who's helping, or that's on the committee with the VFW Square project. And they had indicated that at one point there were funds within the village to help make improvements to the square in regards to this project or the improvement of the square. And they are starting, I guess, to revitalize with their project. And the way it was indicated to me, they would start to come forward to the meetings from time to time to discuss kind of what their vision is to the board in regards to the project. And they were wanting to know how much funds were left on the village side in regards to improvements for the square and in terms of that project.
Well, to my knowledge, there's actually a separate fund correct, and then how much is in that fund?
Yeah, we've asked Sherry, she's on vacation, when she gets back, she'll give us the exact number.
I got it. As of May 30th.
But I believe it, go
I
ahead.
got it. May 31st, the Veterans Memorial Fund had $10,873.22. That was off her May 31st report.
What was that number again, David?
$10,873.22.
And another item I had, and I saw that there's a ordinance that's going to be proposed later in terms of the SEMA under public safety. Are we going to talk about that later?
I think if we're going to, we can't have a public safety meeting, we can have.
I know that, I'm saying it's on the agenda.
Yeah, I put it out there, can be, Hero has completed his work on that, and he asked us to put that ordinance on the agenda, and we have delivered it to the Sangamon County organization for management. I think it's Mr. Butts is and we're waiting on his and Hero working together to see if they sign it, and then he'll deliver to IEMA. Mr. Tamling, I think his plan to come back in sometime and actually give a presentation on what's in the document, but he instructed Jill and I that we were not to put that out for inspection this time because of Homeland Security issues. There are things in that plan that cannot be disseminated. But it is available in Jill's office to inspect.
One concern I had with that, I think it was over a year ago, and I think I was sitting in the audience when we talked about it, was the fact that the village would no longer have a storm shelter or a...
Pre-event shelter.
Yeah, a pre-event shelter. Now, a possible post shelter could be a different story, but my concern is, as far as my knowledge, there's never been a public notice put in the paper. It may have been in an article, but there needs to be, I believe, a public notice put in the paper stating to those people that don't have appropriate shelter that we no longer have one. And I know it's not posted on any buildings around town.
Right.
I know it's not posted.
I think the township did that.
No, they didn't.
It is not on the town.
That's where I was going, Matt interjected, but I was contacted by Township in regards to that, and they feel that it, obviously is the responsibility of the village to put that notice up. I know Hero has been involved with it, but, I think we need to make a decision if we are going to proceed with a notice being posted that that the community building is or is not a pre-event shelter, and to my knowledge it is not, because last time we had a major storm, they were actually having to turn individuals away that were going up there. So,
And my concern about that is if we do have Mr. and Mrs. Smith with their family bringing their kids up there, the door's locked, they head home, storm hits, because they
There's
left.
nothing that prevents us from making an announcement that says it's not.
Well, I want it posted in the paper,
Yeah,
in the
township
SJR,
will
and the
cover it, the
Clarion,
community
so people
will
can
cover
say,
it, so.
and even send it through the 311 or the e-alerts, making sure that we've used every route and every option we have to protect our citizens from going to a building that's gonna be locked and no longer used.
Del, can you get that?
Yeah.
And can we have
Just
that
a
posted
notice
at
that
churches,
it's
the
not.
community building?
We'll do a posting at the library.
Yeah, at the library.
Well, doesn't it have to be a certified building?
It's not a that's the issue that it's got.
Yeah,
never
the
been
problem is the
insured.
insurance,
Yeah,
from my understanding, because the insurance company doesn't want to insure it, then say it's a storm-protected shelter, because I know one of their concerns is the roof, collapsing, and then, everybody that is there that wasn't safe is now trapped under the roof, so.
That and, I know in terms of IEMA and safety standards, I mean, the policies and procedures have changed a lot. I mean, in terms of where people are to seek shelter pre-storm, in that regard, and I think that may have something to do with it too, So we're everyone fine with
Yeah,
the notice?
I don't mind telling everybody that, hey, it's not. Reminder that this is not the pre-med shelter.
And also, when Harold does do that presentation, is there a way we can do a public notice again, basically stating the man that wrote the plan is going to be here? If you have any questions or concerns about the storm plan or the SEMA or whatever disaster plan, the man's going to be here to talk about it and have as many people here that want to know about our city's or village's safety plan.
A notice or just an article.
Article or notice. And what would also be good, and I thought about this, is to put on our utility bills that the shelter is no longer the shelter. Can that be added to
I don't
the?
know.
Utility
There's
bill?
limited space on utility bill. I have to check with Sherry to see how much space they have.
Okay, because I know we talked about putting special messages on there.
And they do things that are related to the utilities on there, but
Yeah, I mean, I would think that's a pretty important thing to have on there. That way, nobody can say that's a resident or a utility payer, I didn't see it, because it's on their utility bill.
You can look at mine, you can see how much room's left. I think it would be very easy to put it on there.
yeah, every fucking time, somebody will try and get this done. I'm pretty sure we can,
Yeah.
but I don't want to speak out of turn, man.
Yeah.
You're good?
If there's nothing else, then I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I'll second that.
For
For
personnel.
personnel.
John's got one more thing on
Legal
legal.
counsel.
Public safety, if you want to get out of the way.
And legal counsel, Joe.
I just wanted to update you real quick on the vehicle that was in the accident. State Farm did pay us for the vehicle, we got a check last week for $27,523. By my calculations, looking at what they're going through now as far as just looking at replacing that brand of vehicle, we can probably replace it with the 2016, 2015 or 2016 for under $1,000 at our cost, and that's everything. So what I've done is I've contacted Joe about putting that out for bid with all the things that we need on it to match what we had before. But I didn't specify what brand, so, if we had a Dodge before, Ford comes in cheaper, or Chevy, we'll obviously take the lowest bid. But everything else, I mean, all in all, I think it turned out okay, other than being without a vehicle for a while.
My concern about that, when we do have a situation like that, a car, or we get an insurance check, we do not have to turn around and buy a new car, correct? Or lease? We can put that in the police fund?
Well, it's been put in the new equipment, new purchase of vehicle fund.
Okay, so but we don't have to purchase it. I mean, the concern I have and others have is, you look outside during the day, there's 5 or 6 squad cars sitting there, and, people say, well, why do we need to turn around and buy a new vehicle when we've got a lot of them already?
Well, 2 of them we're going to be getting rid of. when our new vehicles come in. that we've
So then there will be 4 sitting out there.
Okay, we have 2 backup vehicles for, like right now, we have a car gone, that officer's driving one of our backup vehicles. 2 of those vehicles out there are for our probationary officers that are not driving vehicles yet. When they get on their own, they'll have those vehicles. 2 of the vehicles out there are for officers that do not live in Chatham, we do not allow them to take it home. So they have all their equipment and everything in the vehicle, so as soon as they get to work, they can jump in and go. So all those vehicles are not extra vehicles. We maintain 2 extra vehicles, and those are in case we have a car in an accident, it's gonna be out for a while, or a vehicle with motor difficulty, anything that's gonna be out for a day, a week, 2 weeks. We've got 2 backup vehicles for that, and that's all there. The rest of them are either used by officers, like right now, the canine vehicle, that officer's out, he had a surgery, so he's gonna be out. In our policy, when you're out for a medical reason, you cannot act as a police officer, you cannot drive your vehicle, therefore it has to come up here. So those vehicles, we only have 2 spares, and we're using 1 right now, so we're down to 1 extra one right now.
So how many cars are on each shift then, being used?
1 per, I mean, are you?
So five cars per shift are being used?
It depends on how many officers are scheduled to work that day. It can be anywhere from 2 to 4 to 5, depending on the shift and the schedule. And 3 of those vehicles out there are 11 years old, and those are the ones that are getting in pretty bad shape. We have 1 that's or actually 2 that are 05, so they're 10 years old. So you have to keep updating the fleet. You're going to have vehicles that aren't going to work, and the cost of maintenance is going to skyrocket as you try to keep them running. So.
That answered that.
But if you don't, I mean, I'm going to have that bid, and I've got it to turn in next Thursday at 1 for sealed bids to be opened up here. And then what I can do is, the next admin meeting, get that information to you, what the amount of the lowest bid was, and then you guys can go from there.
In terms, I mean, Sherry sent out the budget report to us, or the budget. What are we looking for in terms of a timeline on a budget presentation and discussions on those?
Well, I think, Kenny, what Sherry and I would like to do is to schedule meetings, actually, board meeting, committee meetings for just the budget discussion, and to schedule as many as meetings as you folks would like to have. That at least was our thought that it is.
Are you gonna do or you or Sherry do a comprehensive budget presentation to us of what you guys are gonna
Yes.
propose after your guys' internal meetings?
Our thought was we would actually bring in the department heads to be able to answer any questions they have about particular details.
Okay.
Basically, I think to spend whatever time you guys want to spend.
Okay.
End of July. Okay, that's the same question. End of July is when?
Has to be done.
That's your deadline, end of July.
So when are those meetings planned on being set?
That's totally up to you folks.
When's she back?
She's just gone this week is all.
I mean, because what was turned in, I mean, I think we need to get it on the books. I mean, I think if this was turned into any corporation I've ever worked at, and again, I've never worked for government, but they'd probably send me home. So I think we gotta get it on the schedule. It's concerned me. I don't know about anybody else.
Yeah, I didn't even think we probably need to talk about this at board meetings, because looking at the calendar, that's only gonna give us,
You put extra, you start putting extra meetings in.
Yeah.
well, even if we just consistently did it week to week, but yeah, we're.
We've essentially got 4 between now and the end of July.
Yeah.
Or we meet on other days.
Yeah, just
Or you have other meetings.
start adding a week.
Yeah.
You want to go department by department, you want to, what's your, having not go, what's easier to understand for you? You want to get a whole picture, then go department by department, you want a department a day?
Well, I'd like to go line by line and say, you know, what can we cut?
I think.
Those started 3 months ago.
No, I mean, us.
We'll do it however you want to do it.
If we look at something and say, well, we don't believe we need to spend $500,000 here, I mean, we're the ones that approve the budget.
Well, if we're looking at the end of July, I mean, I have no issue if we want to set aside time during the regular board meeting to have those discussions, to have an agenda item with that. I think it's important though that if we're gonna do that, that we have some sort of a structure as Dave
Yeah, get something
has
laid out.
talked about so that we know kind of how we want to
Sure.
proceed each meeting. And we don't have to do it all in a meeting, one meeting, but we may want to hit certain areas, so.
I think we do whole as a first, and address those issues, what everybody has. And that seems normal in
Do
any
the budget as a whole presentation first.
Oh, just kind of.
budget
you
process.
mean By
Yeah.
fund, just this fund summary.
Yeah, overall.
Yeah, I'm with Matt though, I mean, I really work off more detail and like to see exactly what, historically what we paid and why we're gonna continue to pay.
And we can request detail at that meeting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
Yes.
and I think doing it whole to start is fine, but as, just to reiterate what Matt said, I mean, I know last year it was kind of, in my opinion, it was kind of a rush and hustle process, and I didn't really get a grasp for some of the detail I wanted to, so I think it's imperative that we do that this year.
Well, I would like to try to reduce some of that reconciliation that we had up here a month ago and try to fix some of those issues we have. And Sharon made a few comments, these numbers aren't high enough. So I want to ask her point blank, and, she was supposed to have numbers 2 or 3 weeks ago, what she thought certain rates should be, and she didn't have those. So that could,
Del, do you think Sherry at the next board meeting next week would be able to give a presentation on the budget as a whole?
Oh, yeah.
And then we can begin the discussion there, and then that way it'll kind of segue into if we want to have more detailed discussion at the next committee.
So she's prepared correctly. Just so we let her know what it is you're looking. Next Tuesday, you want just a general overview, kind of fund status, here's, top line, here's projected revenues, projected expenses by fund. Then
I would like to do as compared to last year, like Mark had mentioned.
you want to compare, she sent out
That
a
is
whole
something.
list that has last year's number on it.
Oh, okay, because I printed it all off, but
Some of it's gonna need explaining.
Matt, it's right here too. She's made a copy for everybody.
that
if you
it?
want. No.
no. Okay, how much that I got? Or how much that I
Yeah,
got?
I mean, that's kind of it, but it's a whole
Okay.
It's thick.
big document.
And I mean, I pulled out a bunch of lines that I had questions with too, so I can even submit that to you.
Yeah, I would like, if there's stuff that you know now that you would like some answers, start sending it to her now.
Yeah.
Help her be prepared for the meeting rather than.
Well, I gave her my request 3 weeks ago and still hadn't heard anything back, so. She said, I'll have it for you next meeting, and, I mean, I didn't have to FOIA it, but I didn't go that far, so.
Here's some of mine, Del.
Was that for me or for Del?
For Del.
Oh,
Hey, Mark, can I ask you a question? There was 3 things that you had asked about. Did we ever get resolution on those? The complaints? What was those? Do you have them?
I don't.
Another 3 things we were talking about.
I got a whole book of that.
It's the only 3.
No, I can finish.
Okay, so Sherry's gonna be here, we got general overview, if you have any additional questions, get them to Sherry. Or get them to Dell, get them to Sherry,
Either one, we don't.
either one. Okay,
I have a question.
And there'll be a gen-
How come my sewer is so high?
Sewer?
Yeah, my sewer rate's outrageous. Why is it?
Your sewer, I'm sorry. Your
well, the sewer's based on the amount of water you use, correct?
Yeah.
Sewer, residential sewer is almost $20.
I believe that's set by the sanitary district as well.
Yeah.
And that's a minimum, isn't it? It's 19 something?
Oh, this is more than
No.
half my water.
I
I mean, when we
think-
first moved
I
to
think
Chatham
you're right.
30 years
I
ago,
think-
my sewer was $5 or $6. You know, it wasn't that expensive, but it just seems like,
No, the sanitary sewer, Sangamon County sanitary sewer raised the rates about 400% to us,
and
Build
that's
that-
something here.
to build that new
Well, and
plant.
that's something here on the water bill, and I don't know if you can do this. You know, when I get my Ameren bill, it tells me my usage, it tells me what the cost is, it tells me what, how much I'm paying for a therm or whatever it was. I have no idea what my electrical cost is, I have no idea what my sewer cost is. I have no idea what my water cost is. Is there any way that the bill can be redone?
I think it's on the webpage.
Well, it may be on the webpage, but you know, why do I have to look on the webpage? I don't have to look on the webpage of Ameren.
Yeah, you know, we put it on the webpage. And I don't know if under this system, we could put all that information on that bill.
Yeah, they only have an inch, so.
So,
Well, it's in those lines, it should have.
okay,
I would think, I try to figure out what my cost is, and I mean, it's just a joke. I don't know how you figure it out, so.
We had the little postcards, it would tell you the number of days in your billing cycle. And now it just always says like April 1st to April 30th, but then down below it has your dates from like March.
no, it's on the bill, isn't it? The dates for the reading?
I thought it was.
Yeah,
It doesn't, it just tells you the number of days in that month of your billing.
The days
30
aren't-
days, service
the days
period,
aren't
30
listed.
days.
Yeah.
And so if it's April, it's gonna be 30 days.
I think what they're asking is, can you say what date it started and what date it ended?
I'm pretty sure it does, because I remember one time when it, for mine,
No,
it
it
was
doesn't.
15 days.
Because I know, because I've looked for
It's
our
not a
call.
30 days, it's not consistent.
Because I know from one of my bills, it was 15 days.
Yeah, but it didn't say.
And it
It
did
doesn't
say
give you the
15.
exact dates. Trust me, if you get bills like I get,
So your
you're
service
looking for
period
exact
didn't
dates.
say. I had one that had 0 days in like November
Okay.
for that.
I guess it's
So, I mean, it's just kind of hard to compare,
Sure.
your 28 days or your 32 days. And whenever you have like the minimum gap, or, you go by minimum now. So kind of, if you don't do the exact number of days, you kind of, and it probably all washes out. But,
Is that possible,
you know,
Doug?
if you're right at 1900.
Trying to understand the question. Does anyone know the number of days from the reading date, what reading dates were?
It says the meter, it says the reading meter, and then it just says, you actually have to call the office to find out what the start and end date was.
What the reading dates of that
Yes, so
meter?
it doesn't say that anymore. I mean, you can call, I've called up to the office to find out the exact dates, but it does not say your start and end. Is that possible?
I'll see what's,
So whatever your reading was for that pay period, when was it, what date did it start and what date did it end? Because that does make a difference based on,
Yeah.
like, we're looking at usage for a business, it does make a difference.
See, I was sure it's on there, because somebody showed me to
I
me.
called, I mean, I personally called myself.
I'll find out.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Anything else? If not, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Sorry, real quick.
Kenny's got
Hey,
something.
Oh, okay.
on the format that Dell, thanks for sending the report, I got that. But I had the same issue with Shane sent it. What is a WinDAT file, and how do you open that? Because it's not coming in as like a Word document, it's, or,
Sometimes that scanner,
I sent it as a PDF.
yeah, sometimes the scanner,
Because
because I get it from time to
as
time.
a document file, and sometimes I say it was a Word document.
What's it called, Ken?
it comes in,
Is that the one that says you have to have a newer version of whatever?
well, yeah.
You can always save as a PDF and it gets to everybody.
That's it, I thought I did.
Yeah.
It says Win, W-I-N-D-A-T, period, is how the file comes across. You know, like when they attach it, instead of having, like a Word doc or, a PDF, it's coming as a WinDAT.
I'll just make sure they go out as a PDF.
See if, yeah, 'cause I can't open that.
What is that?
Huh?
What is that?
Well, yeah, but I've had issue on my PC though. Huh? I use everything, I'm a sophisticated computer person. I do use that at work, I can't get it.
Now,
I can get it tomorrow, but I can.
I will entertain a motion.
Oh, wait a second, I got one thing. We had a question at the last board meeting about the ISO report. That is the insurance group that's working with the Chatham Fire Protection District. And they used our engineer to do all the water modeling for the pressures and the issues that the fire department is working on. Shane, is there anything further that?
Now, Phil's supposed to be sending me a copy of that, it said after it was done in February, beginning of March, so.
So they asked for a copy of the report. Shane has got with the fire chief to see if we can get a copy of that report for them. now, I'm sorry. That's all, I wanted to make sure to get that in. Since it
Anything
matters.
else? Now, I will ask for a motion, or entertain a motion to go into executive session for personnel to discuss.
Second that.
Is there a second?
I amended to include the attorney.
Yes, I did. Okay, we're going to go into executive session.
This is for the attorney.
Yeah, this is for the attorney.
Yeah.
Are you guys coming back into session?
We're coming back into
Close.
adjourn.
Yeah. No. Right, come back.
No. Yeah.